Hi class, welcome back. Now we are going to have another lesson for today, and that is Characteristics of a Good Test, Part 2. In our previous video, we were able to discuss the characteristics of a good test, specifically on the standardized and a non-standardized test. Now we will continue on the standardized test and its characteristics. Now again, this is Characteristics of a Good Test, Part 2. Alright, so again, a standardized test is a test that is used by in a big exams, like for example, the SAT or the NMAT. Alright, and it's different to a non-standardized test because a non-standardized test is constructed in school settings. Basically, there are the quizzes, the long quizzes, or the examinations. It doesn't go through a lot of testing first before releasing it. It's mainly for grading the students. That is just an example of a non-standardized test. But a standardized test is different to a non-standardized test because standardized test is created mostly by experts. Here in the Philippines, those are the registered psychologist and psychometrician, especially if that test is a psychological test. Usually, they are the ones who construct the test. Now, what are the characteristics for us to identify if a test is a standardized test? So here are the 5 characteristics of a standardized test. First, we have the objectivity. Second, validity. Third, reliability. Fourth, usability. And 5, the norms. Now let's go to objectivity. Objectivity refers to the degree to which equally competent scorers obtain the same results. Next, most standardized tests of aptitude and achievement are high in objectivity. And lastly, objectivity represents the agreement of 2 or more raters or a test administrator concerning the score of a student. Now let's go to the first one. Objectivity is the opposite of subjectivity, where in subjectivity, opinions are being given. Like, for example, a subjective test is an essay. Objectivity, on the other hand, pertains to the gauging the exact skills. For example, an objective test would be a multiple choice quiz or a multiple choice examination. As you can see, subjective test focuses more on opinions. Objective test focus more on the facts. So in here, objectivity pertains to what is the fact. So we can say that a test is objective if 2 or more competent scorers obtain the same results, if they are of the same ability. So for example, we can say that 5 quiz items is objective when the top scorers of the class get the same scores. And also, the test of the 5-item quiz is based on the book, wherein no opinions of the students will be graded, just only the facts written on the book. So that is subjectivity. So most standardized tests like aptitude and achievement tests, that is especially those the big ones like my sample, the National Medical Admission Test, are the most standardized tests because they gauge the aptitude and the achievement of the participants. So what is the difference again of the aptitude and achievement? So achievement is done or a test done every time or every after a specific lesson or a specific lecture or whatever. It is the achievement. What is the achievement of learning of the student? That is the achievement test. Did the student achieve something in the lesson? That is the achievement test. But the achievement test mostly that is the achievement test, a standardized achievement test that is administered um, in the whole country, consists of high objectivity. It has high objectivity, meaning that there are no rooms of the opinions from the teachers, but only specifically from the lesson. So that is the achievement test. So the achievement test has a high level of objectivity. Now, what is aptitude test? Aptitude test, it is the test of the ability of the student. So in the achievement test is what the student achieve. The aptitude test focus on what can the student do, or his or her ability to learn. Achievement, what the student has learned. Aptitude, what or the capability of the student to learn. So aptitude and achievement tests are high in objectivity. They should be high in objectivity. Okay, so again, in the last part, objectivity represents the agreement of two or more raters or a test administrator concerning the score of a student. In the process of reliability, for example, we can say that a test is reliable if in the inter-rater reliability, if two of the raters was able to agree that the test was, or the item is a good measure of the variable. So it means in here, when you place two different people and you ask them to rate a specific individual, or a score, a test item, or a test, you can get their objectivity if they have the same rating of the said student or test or test item. As you can see here, with two or more raters, you can get the objectivity. But only with one rater, you can get subjectivity. So objectivity entails to minimizing the opinions, but maximizing the facts. So a test is said to be standard if it has high objectivity or it is objective. Next, objectivity not influenced by emotion or personal prejudice, like what I've mentioned a while ago. That's why raters, or two or more raters, are asked to rate something. That is to minimize their emotion or personal prejudice on the subject or the person that they are rating. So we can say that a standardized test that is objective, is said to not to be influenced by any emotion or personal prejudice of the rater or the writer of the test. Lack of objectivity reduces test validity in the same way that lack reliability influence validity. So if the test is less objective, it reduces the validity of the test, which validity entails to the what the test purports to measure. So if the objectivity of the test is lower, the validity tends to low as well. And if the validity is low, and that's the same way with when reliability, which is the consistency of the test, will tend to be to lower as well. We can explain this more later, but again, if the test is less objective, the test tends to be less valid. Now let's go to validity. Validity is an important characteristic of any test. Validity, this refers to what the test really measures. A test is valid if it measures what we really wish to measure. So again, validity is a test if the test purports to measure what it intends to measure. For example, you give an IQ test to your classmate. It should give you the IQ test of your classmate only. It will not include any other characteristics. It should only give you the result of the IQ test. It will not include the EQ or any other related variables to it, because it would only measure the IQ or the intelligence quotient. We can say a test is valid if it measures what it intends to measure. So actually that's the simplest form or simplest way to explain validity. If the test measure what it's supposed to measure, it's valid. The word validity means truth or fidelity. It's not the self-correlation of the test. Rather, it is a correlation with some outside independent criteria. So in here, it says here that it is it pertains to the truth or the fidelity. It is not the self-correlation of the test. Rather, it is the correlation of the outside independent criteria. So meaning, if the test, for example, if you have two tests, IQ test A, and IQ test B. If IQ test A is said to have validity and is standard, your IQ test B, if you are questioning its validity, the results of IQ test B should be the same of the result of IQ test A, because IQ test A is already standard and valid. So that is what the third bullet point here is trying to say. So you can say that a test is valid if it can correlate to other criteria. Now here are the types of validity. First, content validity. Second, criterion validity. And third, construct validity. In our next series of videos, we will go in depth of the following. But just to give you a heads up, what is the differences between the three? In simple terms, construct is the variable that you are measuring. Criterion is the criteria of that construct. And content is when we see that the test really intends to measure the construct. For example, if you are measuring intelligence, your construct would be intelligence. Your criterion would be IQ, and the content would be the test looks like. It is indeed measuring IQ or intelligence. As you can see, construct is the bigger one. The criteria would be the criterion. The content would be the proof that the criterion is the sure measure of the construct. That's in simple terms. But we will discuss more on that in the next series of our lessons. So please shoot. Now let's go to reliability. Reliability is another characteristic of any test, the precision or accuracy of the measurement of scores. Reliability, in simple terms, can be said that it has consistency. So when you are looking at the test, a 10-item test, that is trying to measure IQ, from number 1 to 10, it should only measure IQ. It should not measure EQ or any other unrelated variables to it. Each item should be consistent in measuring the whole test. So, it will give you a consistent score within each item. It will give you, and once all the items are totaled, it will give you an accurate measure of the test, or accurate score of the test. So again, reliability entails to the consistency of scores of each items. A well-developed scientific tool should give accurate results both at present as well as over the time. Alright, so reliability entails that whenever a reliable tool will give you an accurate result today or the results over the future. This can be explained further in our next sessions, which will focus only on reliability. But we can say that, for example, when you were in grade school, your personality test showed you, for example, 16PF showed you that you're an extrovert person, or a person that is outgoing and gets their energy from their environment. When you took another personality test in the future, or you're already in college, you can say, or we can say, that the test is reliable when you get the same results when you were in grade school. Because again, personality measures personality traits, which is enduring and long-lasting. So we can say a test is reliable when these two tests from different time shows you the same result, shows you a consistent result. So those two tests are said to be reliable. There are ways to measure reliability, but we will discuss that on our next lessons. Next, we have usability. Usability entails to the usefulness of an object or product, concerned as the ease of use or the extent to which a product can be used by a specified user. So we can say that a test or a standardized test who has a good usability if it is useful. If it is useful in a specific environment, specific participant. In simple terms, it can be used either by any participant, but with the same characteristics that is asked by the test. It is very usable. In education, the teacher verifies the accuracy of information obtained by the student's performance after administering an educational tool. So we can say that, for example, in school setting, we can say if the test or if the knowledge is usable using educational tools, or like quiz or Seatworks. Just like in this one, usability entails that if you can use it, and can detect or can have show you results from a large scale of results. Next is the norms. Norms is the standard of comparison for test results developed by giving the test to large, well-defined groups of people. So norms, we can get the norms when we give the test to the target participants who we think who should take the test. So that is the defined groups of people. So when we give the test to the participants that we think should be the test takers in the future, we will get, once they finish the test, they will give us the scores. From there, we can get the norms. The norms is the average performance of this group. This group is also known as the normative sample. So from there, you can get the norms. Again, norms, this is the comparison, or we use this as the frame of reference to the future test takers. So again, we get the norms by first, once you finish constructing the test and get the results from its reliability and validity, we will now try to administer the test to the target participants or the target test takers that we wanted in the future. So for example, our target test takers would be grade 6 students. So we will administer the test, and from the results of the grade 6 students, that would be the norms. And that norms would be the basis of the future grade 6 students who will take the test. Alright, so that's the end of this video. Next, we will discuss more about the norms, reliability, and validity. But for now, those are the characteristics of a good test. We can identify a good test if it's standard. We can identify a standardized test if it is reliable, valid, usable, and has norms. So that's it for now. If you have any questions, please let me know. Chat me in the messenger that we have in Facebook. So that's for now. Thank you. See you then. Bye.